Good morning and welcome to my live stream to fight CPS with your host, Bob Pace, and to hang on to your children. It's a warm welcome I give you because you're at a hard time in your life if you're dealing with CPS. Now, I'm glad you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I am transmitting on YouTube using the StreamYard application. And I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week, Monday through Friday in the mornings at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour, and on the weekends at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for an hour. Then every night of the week, all 7 days, I'm on at 7 o'clock at night. That's p.m., 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm broadcasting from California at Surf City, about 3 blocks from the ocean. And wherever you're at, whether you're in the United States or in one of the other countries that have contacted me, you all are welcome. What I mean by countries, I have right now 21 countries that have contacted me, as well as all 50 states, including the District of Columbia. Now, I've heard from Indonesia, from Bangladesh, from India, from the Middle East, Libya, and Saudi Arabia, and then from Africa, from Liberia to Sudan, to Rwanda, to Mozambique, to 2 provinces in South Africa, and 2 provinces South Africa. Then north up to Europe, I've heard from England and Scotland and Wales and Denmark and Sweden. Across the pond to North America, it's been Canada, 4 provinces there, all 50 states, including the District of Columbia, and then south of the border is Mexico. Then in South America, on the east side, above Brazil, has been Grenada. Then across the South Pacific, I've had New Zealand, and the land down under Australia, and have 2 states. So that's quite a diversified of CPS around the world. I've talked to over 1,000 people, either by texting or phone calling. I've had phone calls from South Africa, country code 27, and from England, country code 44, and from Canada. So it's a worldwide problem. It isn't every CPS entity is bad, but the people I've talked to, there's 1,000 CPS entities that are bad. And what I mean by bad is they found out that money is more important than family reunification or family or children. They make trillions of dollars, and the money goes in the billions from the federal government to the state, and then in the millions it goes to the counties. That's how the money is sent. It's a $1 trillion business that's paid out in the form of sanctions, incentives, and bonuses. It is crazy. The more I study about CPS, the more I find so many problems that need to be corrected. Now, CPS is a government entity. It was created by Congress and was mandated that social service would set up a government entity to protect her children from neglect and abuse. So they have social workers that work into the hundreds of thousands of CPS agencies. I call it CPS, which stands for Child Protection Systems. Since there's so many systems, it's too hard to say them all, so I just say CPS. Now, you heard the word to protect them from neglect and abuse. Well, that's important. There's 1,000 cases that go a day unreported that have abuse or being neglected by adults or by other people. It's really, really sad. And it's really hard to filter between the good and the bad. You don't know it's bad until your children are taken, and then by then it's too late. You have to act quickly when you're dealing with CPS. When you're contacted by CPS, you have to be alerted to a lot of things. Now, I do want to tell you that to interact with this live stream, there's lots of things you can do. You can call into 888-888-6582. That's my office. And that's where you can contact Mr. Davis, my attorney. And I want to thank him heartily for all he does in fighting CPS. He's an excellent attorney that's available to you all out there, no matter where you're at. He is a juvenile law, family law, dependency law attorney. He's been saving children from CPS for 39 years. And he's also a trial attorney. Furthermore, when your case is closed, he can sue CPS. And he's won millions of dollars with lawsuits, both in state court and federal court. He's a real pit bull of a fighter, but he's a wise, kind man that'll listen and help you. He'll extend more than money. Money is a business. Yes, he does make money, but he cares more about you because he once was in foster care himself. So he knows the foster care system. Many of the CPSs and the foster care systems are corrupt. Yesterday, I just met an ICPC organization that was corrupt. Seems like every live stream I have, which is twice a day, that I find new information. I've been fighting this for 15 years, CPS. I too am a victim of CPS. I'm a father and a loving husband, and I've had 42 years of marriage experience, and I've been fighting CPS for 15 years. I also have raised 6 children. I have 3 older ones and 3 younger ones. All my children were affected when my case was started in 2010. And for 5 years, they made false allegations to me every week for 5 years. I later found out that it was my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters, and a brother from Ohio that were calling in. The reason why I started in 2010, unfortunately, I lost my job through no fault of my own. But I had money put away, and I was able to maintain my home until I had to sell it later to hire Mr. Davis. He is my attorney, and he's the one that got back 2 of my 3 children. 3 of my children were stolen or trafficked into foster care. They were alienated by the CPS, and it was a horrible experience for both my children and us parents. It also affected our 3 older children who were quite distant from us because of the event. And one of my child was brainwashed in thinking that she could leave her parents at age 12, which in California, you can emancipate from your parents. It was all the result of retaliation by a social worker who didn't even have a high school education, young 20s. Brainwashed my daughter or coached my daughter and told us parents you'll never see your daughter again. And what she did is that when she was caught on the witness stand committing perjury, she lied under oath so bad. She walked out of the courtroom, or actually ran out of the courtroom embarrassed and in tears because she knew she did wrong. But instead of her correcting her actions or owning up to anything, this particular social worker was set on revenge. So she coached our 12-year-old daughter who didn't know anything about divorcing her mom, her dad, her 3 brothers, her 2 sisters, and her grandparents, both sets. her aunts and uncles and cousins. The whole family wiped out like we didn't exist. Then she was told to change her name, and she changed her name completely, removing the middle name that was Hanalei. That was a beautiful name of a beautiful place in Kauai. She then was told to seal her birth certificate that she was never born to us, and to get a new birth certificate and put her foster parents on it. And also she got a second Social Security card, and she was double dipping because I was receiving funds from my children because I'm over the age of 62. And I could get additional financial assistance from my retirement plan. You know, when you pay into Social Security, you don't realize early on that that money that you pay into is collecting interest for the government that they never give you the interest back. On top of that, they use your money to maintain the government programs. And every 6 months, we have the fear of not receiving our Social Security. The government, for the past, I don't know how many years, has close to shutting down, defaulting, meaning they won't have money to not only pay the people in Social Security, but also Medicare or Medicaid, the money that they receive for health and so forth. Also, the pay to the United States soldiers. If they don't have the money, you have to close down. Our soldiers do not get paid. We do not get paid. It's a big mess. And I don't know. Trump is trying to do something about that by doing Doge, which is an organization to see where government wasting is happening. And right now they're investigating Social Security, and I hope they investigate the child protection systems, because there's a lot of abuse of the money and a lot of abuse of what social services is doing and CPS is doing and social workers. Now, please show emojis when you're in here. I also have a banner that was put up by my show producer. I want to thank her very much for doing it. That's Grace. We are encouraging you all to help support our live stream. And we would like you to subscribe to the YouTube channel CPS Defense Strategies consultant Vince Davis. Now, that is very important. We're trying to start a newsletter, $1.99. And the newsletter will be important because I have articles from me and articles from Vincent Davis. Such as Vincent Davis will write about how to get your children back, how to fight CPS, how to sue CPS. Also, the insights of myself and Vincent Davis and other people will be included in the newsletter. So it's getting ready to get started. And we would like you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And so that's what's going across the bottom of my screen. Furthermore, there is a website, or two websites are very important for you to look at. One is called the stand.store/attorney Vincent WD or vincentwdavis.com. Don't forget to put the HTT in front of it, the http://. Those two websites are great. The Stand Store will have a list of consulting packages that you can subscribe to. It'll have a list of books you can buy from. One of the newest books out right now is the book about grandparents adopting their grandchildren step by step in California. It's also good for other states, and also parents will like it too. So it's very important that you check out that guide. It's $9.99, but if you use my name, capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, 50, you'll get a 50% discount. A 50% discount. And that's what you get. It's a very informative guide, and I've talked to people on my live stream that have gotten it and said it's fairly great, and some of them are using it, and some are getting guardianships of their grandchildren. So that is a really important website for you to go to. It's really important. Now, you could also express emojis in here with hearts and thumbs up and smiley faces. I love to see those. Also, you can send me stars. And please follow me by checking below me. And please do reviews. Also, there's notification. If you want to know when I'm on, click the notification. There are approximately 25 to 30 people that come on my show regularly, morning or night, that talk about their case and help others on here. It's become a very nice family. I hear good news, like Margaret King has got her criminal charges dropped, and that was through the thanks of Mr. Davis, Attorney Vincent Davis. There are lots of great people on here. There is Betty Joe from Montana, who is a social worker who has been trying to get, or did get, her niece, who is her brother's daughter, from Nebraska to Montana, transferred by ICPC. But apparently, after she got the child back, unfortunately, the foster parents put in a request that the child be returned because they felt that the 4-year child would suffer anxiety. Now, I don't know how anxiety happens when the foster mother, Betty, who's a blood relative who knows the child from birth, would be any problem about her raising the child. She wants to raise the child. She wants to adopt the child. And she went through all the procedures and got the child back. But then the CPS agency took the child back because they were worried that the parent, the foster care, the real reason is the foster care wanted the money she got for having that child in her care. That's the sad part about everything. It's all about money. Money is the root of evil. We need money to live. I realize that. But we have a problem with the money, sometimes taking precedence over the real values of life. Real values of life. Now, there's other things you can do in this live stream. I'd like to hear from you by texting me a question or a comment about CPS. And when you do, please show me your first name, the city or county, and the state. And if you're from another country, put it in your province and country. And also, please tell me about your CPS case. The more I know about it, the easier it is to help you and understand. And also, sharing your story will help others maybe not make the same mistakes. Another way to interact in this live stream is to be a guest on my live stream by emailing a time and a day you want to be on, please send an email to my show producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. All you do is pick one of my 14 shows. I want to be a Bob's Sunday morning show or a Bob's Friday night show. So you send that on. She will give you a link, and you'll get on it. If you get dumped off, you can get it again. Also, she will tell you what you can say and not say on the show and what you can do and not do. Things like no eating or smoking on the show. And we don't use the names of children. And we have to watch the profanity. It's very important that we're very professional in this live stream because there are sponsors that sponsor this live stream. And it's very important that we do not talk about things that would hurt the sponsor's image. Now, the last thing I have that you can interact with this podcast is you can call my number. That's Bob Pace at 626-698-0990. And that goes to my phone. I use Vonage. You don't need Vonage, but it will directly connect, and it's an internet-based phone application, and I will help you as best as I can when you talk on the show. Now, being a guest or talking the show will allow you a free 15-minute session with my attorney, Vincent W. Davis. He will talk to you on a Zoom conference call, just you and him. You can make a list of things you want to talk about, prioritize them, and then go through your list with him. But that 15 minutes can be very valuable. It can help you decide whether or not you want to retain Mr. Davis as an attorney, or you want to know how to get help with your case. Now, most of you get sometimes confused about attorneys, and I have 5 rules that I've come up with. But before I get started on them, I wanted to welcome some people into the room here. Good morning, doctor. Where do I find the forms for a USC 42? Okay. My rule number 4 is how to research the internet. It's very imperative that you all research the internet, but there's a certain hierarchy of how you place your words when you do a search. You want to start off by the city and then the state. And if you're from another country, you add the country. And then you want to put the letters CPS. And what that will do is bring you up hundreds of CPS issues. But if you want to be more specific, then what you do is you put your code USC 42 1983, and it will pop up. Now, I have a new one here called Cooking with CER. Welcome, Cookie. I appreciate what you're doing. I wish me and my wife could get help with our case. Well, you can get help. There's lots of ways to get help. I was just saying that there's a free 15-minute conference with my attorney who can help you. All you have to do is call in or be a guest on my live stream. But welcome. And also you can ask on here. You can text me where you're at. Give me your name, your first name, and then what your case is about, and I'll try to help you. That's what it is. I have forums here. I have things we can talk about. I have one thing I'd like to talk about if time today is how to get rid of your attorney. A lot of you are dissatisfied with your attorney. I have a couple other topics that my members have given me that I could talk about too. Okay. One of our members here, Faye Manling from Richmond, Kentucky, talked about a genetic test on the soft connection bone and joint disorder. There seems to be some cases where parents are wrongly being accused of breaking their children's bones. And Faye wanted to share this genetic test and that the doctor checked for rickets and checked for osteogenesimi. OGI. I'm not saying it right. But it's really sad that parents, and I'm speaking of two parents that are up in Mercedes who come on our show. And it's sad that they are being wrongfully accused. And I know their case is coming up. Now, another way that you can get more time with Mr. Davis, if 15 minutes is not enough time, for $60, you can book a 30-minute session with Vincent Davis on a Zoom conference call, a one-on-one. And he can talk about your case for 15 minutes for $60. So you can talk for free for 15 minutes. For another 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you can talk for $60. That's a good price. Vincent's consulting fee is $500 an hour. And he will retain cases in LA for $5,000. That's his retainer fee for LA. And so it goes up with different areas and so forth. And I make phone calls all during the day from 8 in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning, from 11 in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the calls I make are helping people retain Mr. Davis. So if you're interested in an attorney, you can call me at those numbers. It's free. And you talk to me, and I can talk to you about how to retain Mr. Davis. So one of you in the room really needs help. Maybe I could talk to you cooking with CER. If you could call me. There's my number, 626-698-0990. Now, that number is live during the podcast to talk about your CPS case. If you want help to retain Mr. Davis or to talk about retaining him, you can call that number from 8 to 10 and from 11 to 1. That's every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And I will gladly talk to you there. So this live stream is up to you. By your discussions and how important you make it will depend on how well it's enjoyable. So I need topics to talk about, and I certainly need your help in helping others, because You're fighting an entity that's not transparent. Right now, the Richmond Cabinet, which is the name of the CPS organization there, is being investigated by the federal government because $1 million is unaccounted for. And they found one individual, a social worker, that has embezzled $400,000. They're trying to find the other 600. There is corruption all the time in CPS. It's sad, but they're supposed to protect our children, not aggressively take our children or our parents. The only time they take our children should be under three things. The child's got to be in extreme danger to be taken. And my rule number 3 talks about how to deal with social workers. If they come knocking at your door, don't answer the door. If the police are with them, don't answer it. The police are there to protect the social worker from harm, but the social workers like them there for intimidation purposes. And sometimes the policemen get carried away enforcing the law. They don't know the child protection system. And so sometimes they do things that are wrong. My best advice is don't answer the door unless you know who it is. With family members, you can arrange special knocks or rings. But I've heard too many stories of mistaken identity and people be shot dead in the chest or in the face. It's a horrible, horrible thing to hear about. So the best advice to you is the door comes knocking, you don't answer it. You don't answer to strangers. Police and the social workers are strangers. You're taught that at a young age. At an older age, you don't. And you have other family members don't answer the door, because if you answer the door, you're giving permission for them to come inside. Same thing goes with other family members. They may open the door and let them inside. Once they're inside, they think they got permission to search. And also, if they want to take your child, they say, we need to take your child. Now, it's kind of hard when they're in the home and hard to argue with them. But you can tell them to get out of my home unless you have a warrant. I don't want to talk to you. I want to get my attorney present. It's very important that you tell them that you want your attorney present. Your constitutional right allows that. Any time through any part of the criminal investigation, you're supposed to have representation, legal representation. But these CPS entities and police do strange things. You don't talk to social workers because they'll use it against you. And you certainly don't give up your children. There's only 3 ways they're going to get in your home. 1, if you or a family member or somebody in the household opens the door and lets them in. 2, if there's domestic violence going on where someone's being hurt, and it could be children being hurt, they're going to enter the home because they hear the screaming and yelling and gunshots or whatever is happening. They're going to enter. And the 3rd way is with a warrant. And now they have to go to a judge to tell them why they need a warrant. And the judge has to sign the warrant paperwork, and then the clerk will sit there and emboss the stamp. Means raise the signature up so no one can forge it. It's like when you rub your finger across their signature, you'll feel the stamp. It's also got to have explicit directions on it. It's got to be the people they're being accused of, if it's husband, wife, or both names. It's got to list the children who's being accused of, and then what are the accusations. Is it neglect, or is it abuse, or is it both? Then there's got to be specific instruction with a date and when they can do the investigation and an address. Check the date. If the date on that form is on a holiday, whether it's the weekend or weekday, then it's a bogus form. It's a copy form. CPS is always noted that they will use expired forms or forms from other clients. So it's a trickery. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You have to be careful there of fighting CPS. You have to be careful there. Now, on my 5 rules, I've talked about rule number 3. I started to talk about it. I talked about rule number 1, get an attorney. And the facts about getting an attorney are hard. Now, going back to rule number 1, and hi, Lori Hiller. You've been on my show for a long time. Thank you for the thumbs up. Welcome, Saul Goodman. Another day in paradise. Well, I don't know if fighting CPS is considered paradise, but it's another day. And I really find it very hard at times to be positive fighting CPS because it looks like it's always a downhill battle. Because I relieve my experiences in CPS, which were horrendous. My family and my wife went through so much issues with the CPS case that we had. Our family was torn apart and relationships were strained. It shouldn't have to be that way, but getting an attorney is very important. So, rule number 1 is you need to get a quote from 3 attorneys. You need to find an attorney. You start off with research on the internet. You put the city, the state, the letters CPS, and then you put in there a lawyer or an attorney. juvenile law, family law, dependency law. And that will bring you up a whole list of names in your area. If you live in a small area like in Athens, Georgia, you may want to put Atlanta. So you do Athens, Atlanta, Georgia, CPS. Then you can start off with CPS, family law, CPS law, family law, dependency law, attorney. And you'll see the names come up. From that list, you will have to decide which two. You say, wait a minute, you said three. Well, you already have one here, which is Vincent W. Davis. He already meets the criteria that you need to find. And he's able to talk to for 15 minutes for free by calling in or being a guest on my live stream. Or if you want longer time, he can do it for $60. For an hour, he'll charge you $500. But you can talk to him about your case and everything else. Don't forget, I have two numbers on the screen. One is the office, 888-888-6582. Make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, make sure you tell him that Bob Pace sent you. Then there's my number, 626-698-0990, that you can call. But after you've selected two names to call, then you want to ask them two important questions. Question one, are you a juvenile law, family law, dependency attorney who has fought CPS and gotten children back? The answer is yes. You proceed with the next question. After the case is closed, have you fought CPS in a civil matter in state court or federal court and won money? If the answer is yes, then you got yourself the good start on getting your two other attorneys. You want to ask for references, including Mr. Davis, to find out what kind of attorney that they are and how they will, fight your case, because with your references, then you meet with them or call them. And you want to see how the chemistry is between you and the attorney. And you want to, ask any additional questions. Now, there's several ways you can talk to Mr. Davis. You can call in right now and talk to him. Or you could be a guest on my live stream and get 15 minutes with him. Or you can call me right now on the phone and get free 15 minutes. Or you can call me and I can help you with retaining Mr. Davis. But it's very important that you get an attorney. And I know a lot of you cannot afford one. So your alternative is use what's called a court-appointed attorney or public defender, who really are kind of worthless in the CPS system because they're hired by CPS, they're controlled by CPS. They only have a criminal background. They don't have that family background or juvenile background or dependency background. And they'll not fight for your case because they're so overloaded. Their caseload is 30 or more clients. They don't have time to talk to you. So you really waste your time. And if you are going to use a court-appointed attorney or public defender, you got to tell them that you're going to defend me and fight for my children to get back. And if you don't, I'll sue you for negligence, for non-performance. Furthermore, you report them to the bar. You report them to the lawyer's bar and register a formal complaint. And if you don't like the court-appointed attorney, how they're performing, then ask for another one. They're going to get irritable. They don't want to give another one. But you go to that court-appointed attorney office and say you want to replace your current one. If they ask you a reason, you tell them. Be upfront with it. But you're not required to use a court-appointed attorney. The problem is that most people do, and it backfires on them. Also, their children have court-appointed attorneys. So if you have 3 children, you have 4 court-appointed attorneys going against a judge and 3 of the CPS attorneys and so forth. It's really a very, very hard matter. Now, doctor says all the state will give you a public defender for a lawyer if you're poor, and then lawyers don't want to do their job to help you. Well, that's true. If you're low income, and I hate to say a lot of people are, especially with today's prices, when eggs are at $10 for a dozen eggs, milk is at $8 a gallon, gasoline at $4 a gallon. And I'm talking about my area where I live in and so forth. A loaf of bread at $3, a can of coffee at $15 a can. Prices have doubled and tripled. You go to the discount racks and you see discounted prices. Those are the normal prices of a year ago. Our economy is not getting better price rise. I know with the new administration it may take time, and hopefully things will start to turn around. But the new administration has lots of battles to fight. They have international battles to fight with Ukraine and Gaza. You know, those are the 2 biggest ones. Then there's Taiwan, with China. And of course, Russia with Ukraine. And Russia with all the other countries it's poking its nose into. So the international front is really hectic. Also, all the departments are being investigated. And a lot of things have changed. A lot of people are irritable about it. But it's hard with any changes in there. Of course, they don't want to help you because they have a caseload of 30 more clients. They don't care. Now, Saul Goodman says, just subscribe what state you're in. The state I'm in is California. I'm in Surf City, south of Los Angeles. And it has one of the highest prices in gasoline, and we manufacture the gasoline. We have refineries at El Segundo that manufactures the gasoline. The gasoline comes into port and it's pumped in. Some of it's pumped in from offshore and refined. Another refinery is above Santa Barbara. There's other refineries too, but it seems like the greed has got a lot of the CEOs. And we have a governor that doesn't really care about his people, who supposedly is the future Democratic president to replace Donald Trump when his term is up. But the CPS in the state of California is in a shams. I've heard from so many people from Oakland area, San Francisco area, Bakersfield, San Bernardino County, Riverside County, LA County, Orange County, San Diego County. I've yet to meet one efficient CPS organization in California. Now, across the country, I met a great social worker that came on our show and talked. She was from Maryland. She had a clinical psychology degree, and she had 6 months of training with CPS before she started working on cases. But there's no standardization among the child protection systems. There's one thing in standardization they love to make money. It's a money thing. My children were getting, the CPS in Orange County were getting $20,000 per child per month. And they were in custody for 3 years. So you can imagine how expensive that was. And my children were wrongfully placed into foster care. They weren't in danger. They weren't in danger. It was a witch hunt by CPS because of the harassment they got from my wife's parents, my wife's family. They were harassing them every week for 5 years. If we knew then at the beginning, we would have nipped it up. But it's sad because a lot of the bad cases are people, lay people that use the CPS system to orchestrate their means of breaking up the family or their jealousy or whatever the case may be. I still don't know to this day why my wife's mother and father want our children. They've wanted our children since we started first having children. They were upset about me taking my future wife away from them. And it was sad because there was a lot of abuse they did at their home. As my wife looks back at her life, I look back at my life. We look at things that represent problems. So anyway, it's important that you get that attorney because that attorney would turn things around. My attorney did. And he'll give you support and so forth. But you got to get the right attorney. You got to get the right attorney. Oh, doctor, you're in Iowa. Thank you for disclosing me where you're from. I don't know where Saul Goodman's from or the cooking with CM. I don't know where you guys are from. So, he just told me you're in North Carolina and Wake County. CPS is really tough here. Well, I know you guys had a torrential hurricane that flooded your homes and washed them downstreams. And now CPS is attacking families because they don't have a roof over their heads. Through no fault of their own. The government very easily could fly in trailers, motorhomes. They can fly in portable units and have them sit on an area where it's safe from the water until they can build their new home and they'd have an instant home. Same thing with the fires in LA or the fires in other parts of the country. We've had 3 or 4 bad fires throughout the country and 3 or 4 flood storms. And I have yet to see the National Guard or anybody from FEMA think about why not supply them with a temporary housing. Those motorhomes and those trailers, sit and collect dust and waste. They can be utilized. It's a lot cheaper to house them in those kinds of things than put them up in a hotel. I'm not trying to take business away from hotels, but I don't understand why FEMA will not do that. Maybe FEMA will no longer be around because of Doge. I really don't know the future of social services or the child protection system. All I know is the bad things of what we're doing with right now. And so we have Saul Goodman from North Carolina, and we have Doctor from Iowa. If you have another name, that'd be great. I can call you by your other name. That'd be good. The sad part is that parts of North Carolina are really low income and CPS is taking advantage. The child protection systems are taking advantage of there. You're telling me that now CPS is on YouTube and Texas cases are being shown on there? I don't think if I was CPS, I would want to do a YouTube video of what I do because what they do is terrible. There was a mother that was incarcerated. She served her time, she got out, and she wanted to be reunited with her special needs son. But the son was transferred from Georgia to Texas because he has special needs. And they used an ICPC, which stands for the Interstate Compact Placement for Children. And it's supposed to be an entity that protects the child in his transit. But that child in Texas sat for 2 years collecting money from CPS. CPS got money for that special needs child in Texas. And the child, when he was 18, said he wanted to go home to his mother. And she wanted to take him. And she wants to be guardianship of her son because he has special needs and needs that help. But apparently, they did the mother wrong because she was incarcerated. She served her time. She's done with that prison time. She wants to take care of her son. Her son did eventually come back, but that didn't happen till he's 20 years old. 18 to 19 to 20, for 2 years, CPS collected illegal money. And if you're listening to me, Doge or Elon Musk, I tell you right now, you can collect some money right now. They illegally, in Texas, held a child for 2 years that should have been turned over to his mother. He was 18 years old, and he's allowed to come home. But CPS doesn't recognize that. They'll say, oh, he's special needs. We need to take care of him. And I think they have a law where they'll take care of a child if he wants college, and they'll pay for his college or so forth. It's really sad how CPS makes up their own rules. But they're bad out there. They're bad. They're bad. And I hope they get investigated, the bad ones. There are good ones, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying every CPS is bad, but there's enough of them that are bad that need to be investigated. Over 1,000 CPS entities are out there that need to be shut down or retrained or controlled. There's got to be a major shakeup of the child protection system. We need to have board of directors and supervisors that monitor and watch them. We need to have Congress listen to parents and listen to people that have had horrific stories about dealing with CPS. It is mind-boggling, the stories. Mine is a vindictive social worker, stealing our daughter, our youngest girl, who is so precious. And we look at her pictures, and we luckily are fortunate that her sons still see them. We encourage her sons to see her, so we hear bits and pieces, but it's not the same anymore. It's not the same anymore. Well, even in one case done on YouTube, if CPS is doing that, they're stupid because it's going to be used against them. Or what are they trying to prove? A CPS should be an organization that can be watched, that can be controlled, and be investigated. Also, social workers need to be trained, have a college degree in social work, and have a minor in clinical psychiatry. Then they should undergo training. They should, be trained for 6 months and then sit with a mentor for another 6 months about how to handle the cases. There should be checks and balances where they're checking to see if the social worker is not getting too carried away. It's a sad thing to fight. I know it is. It's a very sad thing. Now, I'm getting slowly close to my ending of my podcast. It's 11 o'clock, and I need to sign off. I want to thank all of you for coming to my podcast. And I want to thank you from North Carolina, Saul Goodman. I'm not North Carolina. I'm sorry. Saul Goodman is from, where are you from, Saul Goodman? I thought you, you asked me what state, and you don't tell me what state you are from. I guess, Saul Goodman, wherever you're from, thank you for your comments. Cooking with CER is from North Carolina, and thank you. And then Doctor, thank you. You're from Iowa. Those have been my guests tonight, or this morning, I should say. So I'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please keep fighting for your kids and know I care and I want to help you. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.